Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And today I'm going to be doing my last what sold for at least a week in this format. I had forgotten the last time I did this that I actually needed to do this week because we started doing the pulling and, well, I don't know what else to call it, the pulling video last weekend. So this video is actually going to be for Monday through Friday, March 18th through the 22nd. And then we shipped Saturday. So the next video is going to be everything that sold the Saturday through, I think the Saturday through Monday morning. And then we're going to do it's going to end up being 3 videos. And after this next week, I'm hoping we'll decide. We'll probably still do it a few more times, but we'll decide based on, viewer comments, which way you prefer the videos. The way that I have been doing it with just the screen pop-ups, or do you like watching us sometimes struggle to dig in boxes and pull stuff out and show you with a pop-up what I actually sold and what it sold for. The newer version, I'm showing you everything that sold. So whether it was, a $5 sale or a $100 sale plus, you're seeing all of the sales. Where here, I just kind of picked, especially things that, I wanted to talk about for whatever reason. So, let us know. Give us some feedback on how you prefer it. And Robert's going to be going back to Missouri probably in a week and a half. So then we'll revert back to this type of video while he's gone, because we've learned very quickly it's better for him to hold the camera than each of us try to record, by ourselves. Because it had gotten back to where he did most of the pulling and packing for me so that I could focus on processing and listing. But now that we're doing these videos, I'm back, of course, having to pull the daily sales. But for this week that I'm getting ready to share with you, my sales have been very consistent. So I'm happy. I think I'm back into my groove. I'm back into the graces of eBay after going on vacation and doing extended handling. So it's been good. All right, let's talk about Mercari before I get going. I think in one of my videos, the day that all the changes happen, I talk about it in the pulling. But for those of you who don't know, Mercari changed up everything, and they gave us no notice. They changed their terms of service, and it was effective immediately, where no longer does the seller pay all of the fees, but now the buyer does. And my thoughts on that is I wasn't doing well on that platform, and now I'm going to do even worse, which I went and looked. I haven't had a sale on Mercari since March 15th. So 2 weeks, nothing. So, I think I'm not going to continue to cross list there. I don't think, but I'm not going to take my listings down. I went in and did deactivated I have like 2,000 listings on there. I deactivated all of them and then reactivated, and it went into the new fee structure. But I didn't lower my prices. There's a bulk thing that you can do, and it will go ahead and take away the 10% fees, 10% amount off of your listings. But I didn't do that. And I guess the other big change is that now anytime you want to pull your money out of Mercari, you got to pay $2. It's no longer a free bank transfer. So anytime, which unfortunately I had like $7 in there because they charge you a fee if you don't have at least $10 you're transferring. So now that money is kind of stuck because I'm not going to lose $2 of my $7. So I'll just wait till I get a little bit if I ever sell anything again. I wish somebody would tell them the best thing that they could ever do for that platform is to make the shipping more reasonable, especially for those of us that are on the coast because the shipping is ridiculous. It's based on, you know, the furthest shipping rate for me living in Tennessee to, I don't know, California. So anybody who's in Knoxville, Tennessee, who buys from me, they're paying the same amount that somebody that I would have to ship to California. And we all know it's much cheaper to ship to people closest to us. So I wish they would change that, because to me, the platform stinks. It just stinks because the shipping is just so unreasonable. So I'm going to stick with eBay because eBay is my first love. It's the platform that I sell the most on. And then I'm going to do more cross-listing to Poshmark after I kind of get through my profit piles. I'm making a major dent in them. I'm so happy that I took on this, just quitting letting stuff sit here and sit here. And those of you who are new to reselling, I don't think you realize how different, how different, let me get the right words, how different it is for you in identifying things. A lot of stuff has sat in totes, especially my smalls, because I could never identify them. So you either just put them on there, best description that you could come up with, but you really didn't know what you had. But Google Lens has been such an asset to me in going through these profit piles. I found stuff that I never realized was vintage strawberry shortcake or vintage Barbie. Just tons of this vintage stuff because I couldn't identify it before. And now, I'm finding stuff that, I'm listing for $12 and $15 and $20, and they've sat here for years and years and years. So, it's such a difference 25 years ago and now, because you have so much access to tools. We didn't have Facebook groups to help us. We had to base it on what we could figure out for the items that we were picking up if we weren't familiar with them. So just my thoughts on that. I love Google Lens. It has just changed me as far as being able to identify, especially the small toys that I have accumulated. So, all right, let's get to this. Like I said, no Mercari. I did have 4 sales on Poshmark to share with you. First one was this toffee apple denim women's dress, sold for $28. And then a Gap maxi women's skirt, sold for $19. Wrangler's men's jeans, sold for $12. And, Levi's 550 student jeans. These were vintage, sold for $45. Right, and then eBay. Like I said, this is Monday through Friday's sales. And if you're new to my channel, I don't do free shipping. So when I say something sold for $14, the buyer also paid shipping. IKEA. I think this was a bins pickup. A lot of the stuff that I sell are from the bins. We do these trips a couple times a year where we fill a trailer with just tons and tons of plush and toys. And then throughout the year, we also go to estate sales and yard sales. And I'm frugal. I pay very little for the things that I pick up usually. So, most things I would say I have less than $1 invested in them, just for those of you who are interested. If I can remember what I paid for something, then I'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure this was a bins pickup, and the St. Louis bins is $1.89 a pound. And this, based on the shipping rate that I set to it, probably only weighed a couple of ounces. All right, Life is Good. Found this no longer listed on one of my shelves when I was doing my inventory, and listed. I thought about keeping it because y'all know, well, I don't have one on today, but Life is Good is one of the t-shirt brands that I love to pick up. I buy lots of them for myself. And I've had this coffee mug went ahead and relisted it again, and it sold very quickly for $7.25. Animal Alley, another brand I like to pick up, Toys R Us. And this was a gray hippo dressed as a ballerina, and it sold for $13.10. All right, Scarborough Collection Brown Bear Plush. It was large. Let me move this little thing real quick. Yeah, 19 inches long. It's been listed since April of last year. It was from that private pick estate sale that I picked up this time last year, obviously, because I got a lot of it listed almost immediately. That's weird that that's been a year almost, April of last year. But it sold for $38.21. Stuff's moving. All right. This was from my Profit Pals. Her name is Clarabelle Cow. 4-inch figure, and she sold within a month for $6.26. Lots of smalls, y'all. Hundreds of listings I've made. These, I bought a dish set at a yard sale. I want to say I paid $20 or $25 for 2 large cardboard boxes of this Churchill Willow Rosa. Dishes, you know, soup tureens, gravy boats, salt and pepper shaker, just tons and tons of pieces. And it's been selling for me pretty consistently, you know, a piece or 2 or 3 every couple of weeks. But, you know, dishware sometimes can be that way. You have to wait for that person who's trying to complete a set, broke a piece, stuff like that. But this salt and pepper shaker sold for $20. Imaginext, I bought a huge bag of Imaginext figures. I think a lot of them were those, what are they called? The little packs that you don't know what you're getting, blind packs. Because I had lots of duplicates also in there. I want to say I paid like $8 for it at one of those kids consignment sales. And then I just went ahead and made small lots of them. And this is one of the ones that I just had the driver with a motorcycle, and it sold for $9.86. Cloth Teak by Possible Dreams. Y'all, they're hard to store because they're fragile, and they're hard to pack because they're fragile. Just don't know how many like paper mache, fabric mache type stuff I'm going to pick up, because you're always worried that, you know, you've got to store it in a special area where stuff's not going to get laid on it. It just took up a lot of space. I'm glad it's gone, and I need to be very particular if I'm going to continue to pick up stuff like this. But this was a little rabbit set, boy and girl, sold for $27. Chalkware, I finally started listing all of the chalkware that I had picked up last summer. I bought 5 like banana box size packed with chalkware. Listed 2 of them right away, and then the other 3 sat out in the building until I decided I'm getting through these lots slowly but surely. But I made myself list all of them, and then the other day I finished all of the brass. I know you guys have heard me 100 times say, I'm going to get to that brass. I'm going to get to that brass. Well, I finally did. That tote is empty now also. But this was a chalkware cat wall hanging, and it sold for $13. With the chalkware, I paid, I want to say 4 of the boxes were $10 and one of them was $7.50. So I paid like $47.50 for all of it. This is Playful Pals Mervyn's Plush. Y'all, I've done really well with plush from Mervyn's. I think there's another one that I just recently sold after this one. I don't find it very often, but this is the Pink Pig, and it sold for $20. This is from my high bid estate sale I won almost 3 years ago, y'all. 3 years ago. tons and tons of advertising, plush, toys, dishware, just everything, all things collectible, I think, and almost all of it was advertising. These were, I had probably 10 of these, I want to say, all of them different because this person collected entire sets of things, it seemed. This was a Hershey Bear. They had Butterfinger, Reese's, Nestle's, just all kinds of different ones. This was from 1987 and it sold for $23.35. Hallmark Bunnies by the Bay. I won't be buying these anymore. They are so hard to get gone. I ended up making a lot of 2 of these. It still took over a year to sell the 2 of them, and they sold for $13.45. I like Bunnies by the Bay, but this series right here, just very difficult to sell. Hug Fun, Gray Chicken, Plush. I do well with like roosters and chickens, stuffed animals, so I tend to pick up lots of them. This one was an old listing, but it still sold for $15.25. Barrington, love that brand, nice quality. This puppy dog with its little paper tag sold for $11.66. How to Train Your Dragon. This is Toothless Night Fury from 2014, sold for $26.95. I pick up most How to Train Your Dragon figures. We went to an estate sale and I picked up quite a bit of just vintagey Halloween stuff, and this was in one of the totes. They were pumpkin flashlights, set of 2, and I just listed, they kind of got set off aside. They were in my profit pile and got them listed in January, and they sold for $16.15. Overalls and clothes in general, we need to do better about buying them only if they're size tags, because they are so hard to sell. And I don't want to be the one that says, yes, this is a 40 by 32. I'm going to give you pictures of the measurements and then let you decide, the buyer, you as the buyer decide if you want to purchase them. I do offer free returns. I don't get a whole lot for clothes. And probably because I do provide measurements. But this one didn't sell as high as it could have because I didn't have the measurements, and it's just harder to sell, harder for somebody who wants to take the time to figure out, is this going to fit me based on these measurements? Because it's just easier to say, yeah, it's 40 by 32. I'm going to buy them. But it sold for $16.50. Dickies men's work pants did have their original stickers on, so they were unused. I still list unused clothes as pre-owned. I just do. I think there's less issues with bureaus and other, buyer dissatisfaction. I just list everything as used. And I can still get usually the price of what somebody else is listing them for new, because it's obvious from the pictures that these have not been worn. But they sold for $11. Cabela's men's fleece jacket sold for $25.81. Brass planter. This is from the previous batch of brass that I listed. It was listed for quite a while. The planters just don't do as well as like the candlesticks and stuff like that, and the figures. I probably would steer away from most planners at this point. Me personally. Check comps, everybody. But it sold for $11.44. And then this person actually ended up buying like 3 bears, I think. They were all this Perfection by MJC. But I'm not quite sure where those listings went. I don't remember. They may have been previous, maybe after. I don't know. But this 19-inch bear sold for $12.10. Tie, I still pick up some. Not particularly the beanies, but I do like some of the other Plush, and sometimes these just come in bulk lots that I end up with. But this was a baby cinnamon bear plush 11-inch from 1995, and it sold for $14.36. All right, small appliances. I think, yeah, I just listed this. It was from a Black & Decker shortcut food processor. We can pick these up usually for $5 or less at estate sales and yard sales, and then I sell the parts. This stem post sold for $16.16. Now, this is an old listing. This is a Gabriel Busy Clock toy from 1979. This was bought through one of those freight forwarding companies, and a lot of times you'll know that, like this particular one I sell to quite often, and they always send you a message that says, you know, thank you, you'll receive payment shortly. It's usually already been paid for, and a lot of times they'll say, can you please write the item number on the box? We do that for them, because it just helps them sort through. Don't be afraid of freight forwarders, because once it gets to its destination, that freight forwarding company, and then it gets forwarded on, they've lost all protections, because, you know, if they get it in Japan and they say it's damaged or whatever, they've lost their buyer protections because they've had it forwarded. And I always respond. I've had a couple of those issues. I always respond, you need to contact the freight forwarding company that you used to figure out, you know, how you're going to be refunded. Because for me, as soon as it got to the freight forwarding company, my part of this deal is done. The rest of it was with that company. And eBay will support you. And a lot of times you can tell. It'll give you an address, and then a lot of times it'll say, they try to be discreet, and it'll say like suite, and it'll have, you know, HK157. If you look up that address and then go into like Google Maps, and you can see that it's a freight forwarding company. I've called eBay and they've looked up the address and confirmed. I think I got neutral feedback or negative feedback one time, and they removed it. So don't be afraid of freight forwarding companies. All right, Kelly Toy Rottweiler Dog Plush, 16-inch, sold for $23.35. I do really well with dogs that look like Rottweilers. All right, this is from my favorite little estate sale company. I went to this particular one and bought a bunch of Wizard of Oz stuff. I want to say I paid $5 for this. It was a Department 56. Let me see what Wizard of Oz. Want to Play Scarecrow, Wicked Apple Tree. It was actually part of a set, I believe, but I split everything up. I had the house. I think I already sold the house with the witch. I think there were a few figures, which I didn't get, and then this tree. And the tree sold for $53.95. All right, pastel pencils. I've done very well with vintage art supplies. The colored pencils, the pastel pencils. We picked this up at the bins, so probably have maybe $1 in it. But these were Conte, a Paris, made in France, pencils, 12 of them, slightly used, box had wear, and it sold very quickly for $16. Another one of the chalkware pieces that I recently listed, sold for full asking price $19.95. Very quickly. All right, this is a viewer sale, so thank you so much, Tracy. Tracy bought this Revere flower cart earring holder for $9.95. Y'all, the way that we're doing the videos this next week, that writing is so little on our phones. I'm not sure if I'm going to catch in time to thank you guys when you buy something from me. I will try. Hopefully we can catch it at least when we're shipping it and Robert can put it on the screen. But as far as me thanking you guys, I don't know if I'm going to catch them, because a lot of times, you know, I'm just looking at the bin number to try to get the correct item. So I'll try, but I'm really sorry if I don't say thanks to those of you who continue to support me. All right, Oneida. Love to pick up most Oneida at yard sales. This one was kind of pieces and parts. No, I like to do like sets of 4, but I didn't have 2 of the salad forks, and I decided to put all of it together. It had wear, it had scratches, and they sold for $59.95. Best Made Toys. I like that brand. This was a gray panda bear, and he sold for $17.95. Fisher Price. Look, I have mine. I don't know if you guys can see it. I've got one right there that my friend Shannon sent me. It's got the soup pieces in it. But this is what they call Fun with Food. It was the saucepan, and it's got like a liquidy thing around the outside, so it looks like soup is swirling inside of it. Sold for $10. This was a seal plush. And anytime you find plush that's kind of feels bristly a little bit, usually it's going to be wool. Didn't have much more about this other than it had a Canada red ribbon around its neck. So I just went ahead and listed as much information as I could, and it sold for $8.96. This is just going through more and more and more of my profit pile smalls, and I kept getting lowball offers on this. $4, $3, $5, and then it sold at my sale price without question for $8.96. This was a McDonald's Grimace on a skateboard Happy Meal toy from 1992. I've done very well with Grimace, so anytime you find Grimace, definitely check the comps. Hug and Love, not a brand I tend to pick up very often, but this was a very old listing. Cute rabbit, had the little Easter egg, finally sold for $10.76. This is another viewer sale, so thanks again, Sherry. Sherry bought this Thai Blue Bear plush for $8.05. I picked this up at, I want to say it was my favorite little estate sale again. Probably paid $1 or $2 for it, but it was a poster still on a cardboard backing, still sealed. It said it was Johnny Kostoff, Native American girl from 1992, and it sold for $15. And usually when we ship stuff like that, we take a flat box and then just slide it in. Put a little bubble wrap in there to keep the thickness, because the post office likes for it to be thicker, not just flat, and ship it that way. No issues. All right, Old Navy women's pants sold for $11.41. There was something I wanted to tell you about this, but I have forgotten. Don't remember. Don't know. All right, another one of my profit pile items. This was, again, I would have never been able to guess this without Google Lens. Brimstone Rock Lords, Tonka, Bandai, made in Japan, sold very quickly for $14.50. Homer Laughlin checkerboard bowl set. I got a question on this, and I swear, y'all, anytime you get interaction on an item, it just seems to bump you up in the algorithm, because she asked me if the checkerboard was red or maroon, because I had originally red in there. So I went and looked. It really did look maroon. So I went ahead and added that after I told her, you know, I wasn't even sure that it was released in that color, and she said yes, it was. And then it sold to somebody else. But the set of 3 bowls sold for $24. Monster Jams. I picked up quite a few of these the last time we were at the bins, and a lot of them have been selling for bread and butter. This Gunslinger red truck sold for $8. Gudetama Lazy Egg was still in its original package, just a little tiny 4-inch keyring plush, $9.86. A again, Google Lens helped me. I mean, and I remember the wild krats, but this doesn't look like the wild krats because they're dressed up as animals. It didn't click with me. And then when I looked up one of them, I was able to see sets and realized I had actually several more that went to that set. And they sold within days of listing. These 3 figures for $20. Dakin Bear Plush. I love Dakin Applause Russ. Dakin Applause Russ, Walmart. I'll probably still continue to pick up bears in those brands, but I'm trying to stay away from other brands, the bears, because I have too many and they really can be slow moving, but I love them. This bear was from 1987 and it sold for $20. Franklin the Turtle Plush. Oh, I'd forgotten I listed him. I have the little bear also. I probably could have made a lot. But this is one of the talking plush by Kid Power, and he sold for $22.45. This too was in a baggie of like small doll toys. A lot of it ended up being Barbie. But this was obviously bigger than Barbie, but itty bitty. I mean, they were only 1 3/4 inch long. And I didn't have much to go with other than I know the style is Mary Jane. They sold within a day of listing for $13.45. Eddie Bauer women's jeans sold for $13. Boofle. I used to find this quite often, but this was like the first one I've listed in a while. He's just a little knit dog plush. It comes with different, poses, different things on him. Sold for $9.86. Bubba insulated travel mugs. We picked up 2, either at the bins or a yard sale, estate sale. Robert picked them up, and they sold very quickly for us. I sold the first one immediately and then didn't realize that there was another one that had been pushed aside. Got it listed. It took, about 3 months to sell for $13.45. Right, this was a multi-quantity purchase. This person bought the 3 lots of Kohl's plush. There was a Star Wars set, a Berenstain Bear's brother, and Ducky from Toy Story. He paid $19.51 for the 3 lots, or for the 3. Gans, Webkins, Penguin Plush. I still pick them up. I'm trying to be more particular. A lot of them are bread and butter. A lot of them I have to put in lots just to even get, $15, $20 for them. Especially when you don't have the little codes still attached. This one was relatively a good sell. I think it sold for $11.66. California John Galt women's Carpenter jeans. Carpenter jeans sell very well. They're very popular these days, I think. Took about 2 months to sell, and I took a best offer of $20. Picked this up at my favorite little estate sale. It was a huge estate sale of a lot of vintage items. Some shoes I purchased at $2, which was her regular price, and then we went back and I picked up more at $1 for the half price sale. These sold for $22.45. Picked this up at the kids consignment sale that I went to in North Carolina. I paid I think $8.50 for a bag of Little People. I ended up making 4 different lots from the contents of that bag. This is the first stuff to sell. Sold for $13.45. This was the offshore cargo, helicopter, and cage. Play-Doh. I tend to pick up a lot of Play-Doh at yard sales because you can get them for like $0.25 or 50 cents. This one was actually sealed when I purchased it, but sometimes I don't trust that that's the original tape. So I did open it and confirm the contents. The thing about Play-Doh though, I'll buy it used, the pieces, but if there's any Play-Doh in it that has been used, I throw it away. Play-Doh is so cheap to buy. I'd rather a parent, you know, use what they have or go out and buy new. I don't ever include Play-Doh unless it's still sealed, which these were. They still were sealed in a bag. Like I said, this was a new in the box item. I just opened it up. Sold for $9.86. Cabbage Patch Kids clothes. I think the two, the pink and the little yellow romper, were marked. The sweater was not marked. I just included it because it seemed to be the right size. That is the one thing I have not gotten to yet, is the massive pile of doll clothes that I have. I pick out like Cabbage Patch, Baby Alive, any others that I can easily figure out, especially if it's got a Mattel tag or anything like that. But the rest of it is just plain, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about listing it. I would assume a lot of it's going to be for 18-inch dolls, but I don't know. I don't know dolls very well, so it's going to be cumbersome. But these tend to do really well for me. Kohl's, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, there's a whole series of those. Most of them are bread and butter. I could make lots up of them, but I tend to usually, at least initially, I'll list them individually, and at some point, if they start just being a little stagnant, I may end them and put them in lots and sell them that way. This person bought actually two of my Kohl's Elmos. They were actually different, but she paid the same price for both of them. I think maybe one had a tag, one didn't have a tag. The condition may have been different, but I just popped up one of them. She paid $6.50 for each, plus combined shipping. This is the Simpsons World. This one particular playset was a treehouse. It does do interactive stuff. It talks, stuff like that. I tested it. I'm not seeing a video. It should have had a video. Not every time I don't always go back and check if my videos have loaded. Sometimes they don't load. It still sold relatively quickly. Y'all, these are gold. I learned about these on Bolo Buddy's show. I think she found a bunch of these at some point at a yard sale and shared them on her channel. It should have had more pieces, but if you ever find these little play sets, definitely check the comps, but I'm sure you need to pick them up if the price is right. Mine sold for $20.20. Hanny Girl Message Bear Plush. That was listed about a year, so it was probably a Ben's pickup because I'm not sure. I don't even remember that brand. Sold for $12. Plush Creations. It's another brand I like to pick up. I don't find it very often. It is vintage. The thing with this one is I sold mine for $10. It did take a while to sell it, but this person who bought this really wants one that's just like this but purple. So if you ever come across it, or if you have it, get it listed because it will probably sell immediately to this person who bought mine. Another one of my why did you buy buys. But a couple years ago, I bought like 3 huge totes of car magazines. And they sat, and they sat, and they sat. And I forced myself, well, I ain't quite done. I have one more small tote of just car and driver sitting here. I haven't finished it. But I need to finish it. I listed a ton of magazines. Tons in lots, and they're doing quite well for me. This was the first one to sell. I've got another one that's even better to share, but remember, $20 is all I spent for all of it. This first set of American Rodder magazines sold for $12. My favorite little estate sale company, I picked up 2 of these like hummingbird painted brush mirror comb sets. Paid $3 each, and the first one sold for $22.45. Right, Easter basket. Cute. Been listed for a little over a year and finally sold for $14.50. Interper stainless. Florenz was the style. These sat around for a really long time. They really needed polishing, but I just decided I wasn't going to do anything. I ran them through the dishwasher just to make sure they were clean, but they did have some discoloration. I'm sure that kind of stuff comes off if you clean them. And they were odd numbers, so I just decided to keep like all the salad forks together, all the knives, the dinner forks, and I've sold 3 or 4 already. This one is a very good one to find, and it sold for the 6 salad forks, $22.45. This Shirt Tails book and record, y'all, I have tons of them. They're mine, but I really do need to start going through them. I'm not sure where along the way. I'm pretty sure I was buying them when my big boys were little. And I have the original Fisher-Price record player that still works. I just love them, but you know, there's just a time they need to go. But this particular set by Shirt Tails sold for $12.96. Another one of the magazine lots. This was Auto Week 1989, lot of 38, and they sold for $59. Cuddle Barn, one of those musical toys. This was a Chili Junior Pepper, sold for $22.45. Another one of the Interpurred sets. This were the dinner forks, and it sold for $26.95. And then my last 2 sales are my big sales. This isn't even the big sale, but I picked this up at an estate sale. I want to say I paid $5 for it, but it was huge, and I had it pre-packed. Hot air balloon that was supposed to hang in like a nursery. Let's see, it says the hanging string needs to be replaced, but otherwise it was in really good condition. Took a while, but it finally sold for $66.71. And then, y'all, it sold. It sold. I picked this up at an estate sale recently, paid $5 for her. She was a Tomy Princess Sweet Sea Mermaid doll. Had her original necklace, really good condition. And I took a best offer of $100 for her. And I had another one in my profit pile that didn't have the accessories and had a little bit more wear, which I've already listed also. So $100 for a doll, y'all. All right, this video is long. It was an extra day, Robert, an extra day. But let me know, starting with the next videos, how you guys like them. And then we'll decide which way we're going to do these videos. All right, y'all, get to work. Bye.